The state of Florida has filed an invocation on Wade Wilson. This time it's from profiting of the crimes he committed. Intends to invoke the of the son of Sam law should there be any royalties, commissions, proceeds of sale, or any other thing of value payable to or accruing to the defendant. Any person to whom the proceeds may be transferred, assigned by gift or otherwise from any literary, cinematic or other account of the crime for the crimes for which the defendant inmate has been convicted. Tonight we have on 92KCHICK from TikTok. Introducing her into YouTube, we will have her link in the description. 92KCHICK spent 5 years in prison, and now she has been calling out Jesse and breaking down this Wade Wilson case. This interview gets deep into 92KCHICK's life story, as well as the drama around the Wade wives. And we ask her the million-dollar question, is she really Ari?
All right, bro. So I need you to look at this real quick. This is crazy. I know you seen the big news yesterday about the son of Sam.
Yep.
So
All right.
some people are saying this is charges, but these are not charges. I even had Zebby break this down. I wanted Zebby to come up. I don't know if he's going to come up, but this isn't charges. This is just like a notice to let you know, hey, bro. And my suspicion is charges are coming though.
Yeah, it's just to start the process. It's to start the paper trail so they can actually do what they need to do. Um, sometimes you can't do things unless you actually start the process with something like this. So this just pretty much starts the paper trail. But yeah, something's coming, definitely around the bend, and it's gonna stick. And all that money is gonna be either returned or it would go to the victims, I guess.
Restitution first, though, right? He owes the state more than $50,000 or something like that.
Yeah, they're taking all that first. So
Now, this is the
remember,
date, too. Somebody said they needed to see the date. This is page 2 that a lot of people haven't seen yet.
okay, but you got to remember too. Remember that Jesse said she was sending him $300 a day. A third of that was going to go to restitution, and then a third of what was no. So a third of whatever it is that's sent in would be put towards the restitution. The other third would take and put towards court fees, and then the other third he's allowed to keep. So out of the 300, he'll be only allowed to keep $100.
That's a W win for the victims' families. That's a W win for, anybody besides Team Wade and Wade Wilson. So I'm glad this is in effect. Son of Sam. Son of Sam, right? You know the whole thing with that. A lot of states don't have it. And when you type it in on Google, the Gypsy Rose case comes up a lot.
Really?
Yeah, bro. And I think she's not profiting off her crimes, so they can't do nothing. But the way Wade Wilson has presented this, and he's selling his story. You got to remember, Jesse went on Strange Embers with his innocent story. He is selling the case.
No, without a doubt. Without a doubt, he's profiting. Because there's some things that are just not sitting right with me on that. And I just noticed, like at the end, there's usually a seal. There's usually some sort of proof that this has been.
What are you talking about? This paperwork? Oh, this is real. I got this off Lee County, bro. This is mine.
Gotcha.
I got
New York,
Griselda.
They usually have a stamp. So New York is a little different when it comes to,
No, these are real, but I want to show you something else though. This is a template. So
yeah, you can tell.
How much money did they actually give him, bro? And if they got, how is he the appeal attorney? Like, I don't understand what's going on here. Like, she's busted, bro.
Well, you got to remember when all this shit was taking place, man. I told you that there was a possibility that she was going to befriend a lawyer so they could scam. I'm not saying lawyers are bad, but if there's a loophole, man, they're definitely with the shits. You know what I mean? So if you got one of them scrummy, grimy fucking kick a can lawyer, you know what I mean? This is something that could possibly, be done.
Let's get into you, 92K chick. So you're obviously a Southern girl. Let's break down where you're from and how you grew up.
I'm from Virginia on the North Carolina line, and I grew up in basically my grandpa had a tobacco farm, and I spent the weekends up there, and I didn't really like it up there because it was, chores, and I had to do all the hard work. Well, I thought it was hard work, but it really wasn't. Just at the time I was complaining about it. My mom and dad had substance abuse issues. So basically I was raised by my grandparents, and then my other granny and my aunt, they passed away. I always worried about my mom, like if she was going to come home or not, or if she was like dead in a ditch somewhere or something, because she would just disappear for like 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And my dad, I guess he was probably doing the same thing, but he didn't live with us, so I didn't really know it as much. Finished school, always got good grades. I was just so determined to get out of that life. I wanted to have nothing to do with anything like that ever. And my mom was in and out of jail. She went to prison a couple times for several years. And I just remember thinking, like, I will never, ever be this way. Apparently, staying off drugs is not necessarily enough to keep you out of prison. I went to college. I got a bachelor's degree in business management and marketing, had a great business. I was making a lot of money selling pocketbooks of all things. This was back in like 2007, I believe. And then I had bought a house, and I had everything going well for me. And then 2008 happened, and basically my business went from booming to nothing. I got a job at a local real estate company. I was the manager. But of course, I made the really bad decision to embezzle from the company that I worked for. And it never starts off like that. It ends up bad. Like, you think that you can pay your utility bill and you can just put the money back next month. And then that's not ever what ends up happening.
Okay, this just took embezzle.
Yeah.
So you did time.
Yeah, I did 5 years. 5 years, 2 months, and
So
2
you
days.
was up the road for 5 years. So you're a prison TikToker at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I am.
First day in, how was
Oh
it?
my God. It was just in shock because my lawyer had prepared me for like a year, because the way that I got charged, they charged me 3 felonies per check, and it ended up being like this happened over 3 years. So it was a total of 44 checks over 3 years. So that was 132 charges.
Ooh.
So now you think about that. My maximum sentence was 522 years.
Ooh.
I mean, it was just
Like
bullshit.
that.
Initially I got sentenced to 9 years. 9. So obviously my family's about falling out on the floor. I'm just in like complete shock. I can't even think. Like, it just wasn't real. It was insane. So then my family helped me pay the restitution, and I went back and got a sentence reduction, which I am very thankful for, because to my knowledge, I've never known a single person to ever been successful at doing that. Wow. And it got reduced to 6 years, which was still horrible, and then so after a good time, I ended up doing 5 years, 2 months, and 10 days. I was at a minimum security place. We didn't even have a fence. I was locked up with 600 of my mother.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah.
Back. Go with DBS. Wait a minute. There was no fence?
No,
So,
there's
yeah.
no fence. No. And I mean, we would be outside walking around all the time. I mean, but the thing is, like, you had a place that you were supposed to be. Like, they always knew where you were supposed to be going. And if you hadn't checked in at where you were supposed to be going at a certain time, they would like go looking for you or whatever. But I mean, most of the people there were only going to be there for like a couple years. So nobody's going to risk going, escaping to get 5 more years or however much added onto your sentence. But there was a freaking train that used to go right beside my room for like the first 6 months that I was there. And I was like, I want to go hop on this damn train and just be like, peace out. Fuck this place. It was something else, but nobody ever tried to escape as far as I know. I think someone did back in like the 80s or something, but I you just
Any
know that
fights? What was it like in there?
not like what you think. Like we were, like I said, it was minimum security. Most people were there for drugs, possession charges, distribution charges. I wasn't there with any violent people. If there were fights, it would be because people were like jealous over each other's girlfriends and all that crap. I was locked up with a bunch of teenagers that only cared about getting drugs. And it drove me insane because they all reminded me of my mother.
Oh, I wouldn't like that either.
And I just didn't like it because a lot of these kids are just kids themselves, and they're just like acting like it's no big deal. And I'm like, dude, this is prison. This is not fun. This is not, I mean, they would go out to rec and meet up with their girlfriends and all this stuff. And I mean, we did have some good times in there when I lived with a couple of my friends, but most of the time I always had a roommate that had a girlfriend. So I had the room to myself because my roommate would always be gone out. She would be like in the day room or gone out to rec or something like that. So I just stayed in my room and read the whole time. I just ordered books and read business books and stuff the whole time.
Was your kiosk lit?
My kiosk, apparently they've moved it on up because they didn't have tablets and stuff when I was there. We just had like a regular kiosk with, I guess it was like a mini tablet. We called it a player. But we couldn't do, you could type emails on it, but you had to hook it up to the actual kiosk on the wall to send them and receive them. There was no like signal on it. And you can download music and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I got on those pen pal sites that everybody gets on, and I probably at one point had maybe 60 or 70 different people. And I mean, I would end up talking to maybe one or two of them. Nothing like Wade Wilson, though. Jesus. Like, I don't know how he does it.
Like,
I mean,
I couldn't keep track. I'm having trouble keeping track on the outside. He must have a whole composition notebook with these girls like scheduled out each day.
some people did do that in there.
Oh my
And
gosh.
they did. There were some people that, their main concern is making money so that they can pay people to get in drugs. And usually it's not even like real drugs. It'll just be like somebody like cheeking their psych medicine or something, and they're paying $30 for it for one pill of like Wellbutrin. No shit, I swear.
Oh
The
my
dumbest shit.
gosh.
Yeah, Wellbutrin was like crack in there.
Really?
Yes.
That's what I took when I was pregnant.
And I mean, it's so ridiculous, but that was like what everybody wanted. And they would, I guess, crush it up and like snort it or whatever. And I never really, I mean, I knew people that did it, but like my roommate, well, I had many roommates, but they didn't do it like that I knew of, because they knew how I felt about drugs. Like, I've always been so, I just don't want to have anything to do with them, And then, speaking of that, I had just got to prison from the jail, and about 2 weeks after I'd been there, my mom OD'd and passed away. So that was fun. So I got to go to a private viewing with my whole family, handcuffed and shackled, of course. So, but I was thankful to get to go. But yeah, and I mean, I was basically an asshole. Nobody really liked me because I would just cuss everybody out. Like, nobody came and bothered me for anything. Like, I would help people that didn't ask for stuff. But like, you got your bums in there that are just like going door to door trying to get a scoop of coffee here and some sugar there. And they know not to come to my damn door because it ain't happening.
The first day out when you finally get home.
It was crazy. The first thing, my cousins came and picked me up because, I mean, I say they're my cousins, but they're more like my mom and my son, really. They came and picked me up. Then it was a 3-hour drive home. I had to take, um, I forgot what it's called, for motion sickness, because I wasn't used to being in a vehicle. And it's things like that, like, you never would think about. Like, since I haven't been in a vehicle in years, I get motion sickness because my body's not used to it. I've never had motion sickness before. It's just it's crazy, the stuff like that. And then you can smell, like, everything smells so strong because you're used to smelling the same exact smells. So, like, when we were passing by restaurants, like, I could smell it, like the food was right in front of me. I went to the DMV first because, I wanted to get my license back and everything. And I remember going in there, and my cousin had got me a bank account, and I was like sending money home as I would get it. Um, and I remember when I had to go pay for my license and like registration or whatever, because my car was off the road, but I was putting it back on the road. I owned that. It was one thing I still had. Um, and I went to go swipe my card to pay for it, and they didn't use the swiper anymore. They used the where you stick the chip in there. And I didn't know that. That happened while I was gone. So I'm sitting there like, what? I don't even know how to use a credit card now. Like, what in the world? So my cousin had to come show me like where I put the credit card. I paid for this crappy hotel that was like in this terrible part of town, but I didn't care because I was excited to see the dogs. And then when I finally saw them, it was like the most heartbroken thing ever. They did not know who I was. They didn't know who anybody was. They were just old and blind and deaf, and it was horrible. I was not prepared whatsoever. And I just sat there that whole night with them and just cried. And I remember I ordered pizza, and usually, like, you can't have pizza. Like, they will jump on the bed, trying to bite the pizza out of your hand or whatever you got. They laid there with the whole box of pizza just wide open and didn't even try to get a piece. I was like, wow. And then they passed away within a couple months of me being home. But yeah, my first day out was it was sad. It really was.
It just goes to show that, like, your world may have paused for the 5 years that you were there, but the outside world just doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. And I knew they were older, and I knew that they were having health problems, but it's like I didn't expect the mental decline that they had. I guess
Right.
I expected them to still be like alert and like know what's going on, and they really didn't. I mean, like, they would, if they tried to stand up and walk, they would fall off the bed. I mean, I didn't let them, but they would have tried. They would have fell off the bed because they can't see where they're at.
That would have
So
made for a rough first day. Not that a first day out of prison is easy anyways, but that would have just made it worse, I think.
yeah, and I didn't end up seeing them but one more time after that, and that was because it just hurt me too bad to see them.
Right.
I was like, I've been through too much shit, you know. I cannot. I was planning on getting them back, but then I was like, I cannot do this. Like, I cannot.
DVS has said that he would hide a body for his dog on this podcast.
I'm telling you, I would do like if they ran out in front of a car, I would get hit by the car first before I let them get hit. I mean, it's insane. Like, it really, really is. They were my kids.
Let me back you up a little bit. Social media. When did you start? Did you start immediately when you got out of prison?
No, I was just, I got on, of course I was on social media, but I wasn't posting anything. At that point, I was, trying to like still hide out because everybody in my town knew what I did. I was a real estate agent for the biggest real estate agent firm here, and we had to work with so many different areas. So it was hard to find anywhere that people didn't know you, really. I mean, you work with so many, I mean, everything, contractors, the water and light place. I mean, it's just anything involved with a home around here. They knew me. So I was like laying low, I didn't want to, I still was very ashamed. And not trying to be public at all. Like, I didn't even use my last name on my Facebook or anything. So it took a couple years for me to actually start posting stuff. And when I finally did, it was on TikTok because I didn't have any friends and stuff on TikTok. Like, my family was on Facebook. They're not on TikTok. So I was like, I can go on TikTok and say what I want to say, and it'll be people that don't know me. So that was kind of how that started. And
But
then
now you're at a point where you had to come out and tell people your story. So have you been getting, hit up like, hey, I know that voice?
no, actually nobody's really said anything. When I first came home, we have like these local Facebook groups where they post like places for rent, and someone, I still don't know who it was, but someone posted um that I was home and that they needed to make sure that they checked my criminal history before they rented to me and all this bullshit. So they did it, of course, from a fake profile. I don't know who it would be because I honestly don't think that anybody that I worked with was that petty. I mean, they were professionals, but other than that, that's really the only like hate or anything that I got from anybody. And I've just kind of decided, like, especially on TikTok, I was like, you need to just tell the truth about everything. If they hate you, that's fine. If they like you, that's fine too. Like, I just wasn't trying to hide who I was, and I've never been anymore. So that's why I was just like, look, this is what I did. I'm very sorry for it. I will always be sorry for it. But, all I can do is move forward.
Okay, so when you made your TikTok, let's start there. Why did you make a TikTok?
I didn't really think too much of it at first. I was like, didn't know how to do the editing or anything like that. I was used to, e-commerce, selling merchandise and stuff, not actually, being showing your face on anything and doing all that. But I've always been really into like current events and like, crazy news stories and stuff. And somewhere along the way, I just started posting stuff about like weird news stories and things like that. And then I kind of got into the Johnny Depp trial. That was a big thing. And I was sharing a lot of info about that. And that's kind of how I got my first 20,000 followers.
Ooh, Amber, you heard?
That was a crazy case.
Yeah. So that was really when I first started posting. Like, and then of course when that ended, it's so hard to get followers on TikTok now. Like, if I would have did it as soon as I came home, it probably would have been perfect. But like, I think I waited until it was
Well, you will
oversaturated.
blow up on YouTube with your background of you doing the white collar crime, doing the 5 years. They would be like, "Oh, that Ian Bick? No, it's not Ian Bick. It's 92K Chick." So why is your name 92K Chick? Let's start there too.
Honestly, I have no idea. I made an email with that a long time ago, probably when I was like a teenager. I don't even know why. I don't even know what it really means. I had a 92 Honda Prelude, and this is back in the day where like Fast and Furious and stuff. And I mean, it was done up and it was done up good. I had like my car was the best one in the whole town. It was, and beat everybody in racing too. So, but yeah, that's where the 92 came from.
My first car was
Okay,
in 97. I feel that.
I had a 91 Escort. I had a Mercury too. I think it was like a 93. I loved it. Okay, let's get to Wade Wilson. All right, so Wade Wilson, the case of Wade Wilson. Let's start with the case. Let's start with him and Papa Steve. What is your opinion on Papa Steve?
I haven't really looked extensively into his background, and honestly, I don't really care because I understand everyone has a history. But I think he did the right thing. I mean, it would be a really hard thing to turn your child in like he did, but at the same time, I think he knew him well enough to know he's off the rails. If I don't do something, he's gonna hurt somebody else. So I respect him for that. I do. I don't really know too much about him other than that they didn't really have much of a relationship, and I think he had, in and out of jail and some criminal history and stuff. But I think he did the right thing because he knew, if I don't do this, he could just go to someone else's house and kill somebody else like right now. And I think it was good that he was able to talk to him because he does listen to him. Well, he did back then. He did like actually listen to his dad and take advice from him, his bio dad. So, but I don't really follow him too much though. So I don't know him enough to really say one way or the other, but I know a lot of parents wouldn't do that because, you just don't turn your kids in. And I understand that. But I think he also knew that like it was just going to be harder on him especially if he goes and kills somebody else.
It could have just been anybody, and he could have just kept going, and no telling how many women there would have been involved if Steve hadn't done what he did.
I was mainly doing like covering like the stuff that was going on with Diddy at the time. And of course, I would see Wade Wilson's videos, and I just didn't pay attention to it. I was like, whatever. But then I think what got me is I ran across a video and saw, how many supporters that he had. And I'm like, this dude is guilty as hell. Like, what is this? And speaking of that, I just, I told you guys I had just made videos about, the disaster in North Carolina. These people overseas that are talking to Wade Wilson, not even talking to him, that are just like in support of him, they're commenting on those videos. They have no idea what my video is about. They're just saying, save him, save Wade Wilson on my North Carolina videos. They just know me.
And it's irrelevant.
Right. Like they just know me as the Wade Wilson person, I guess. And they're just commenting, please save him and all this dumb shit. I'm just like, what is wrong with these people? And that's why I did the last video about him when I was like picking on Jesse, saying we need to target everybody overseas because they don't know what's going on. And they don't. I mean, my video said nothing about Wade Wilson at all. And they acted just the same way as they would on any other Wade Wilson video. I was like, they really just don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, the girls in other countries, they don't even, I mean, not that I pay attention to like put on subtitles myself, but they can turn it on. And I guess they're not like actually paying attention to any other content. They're just assuming that certain creators are just only focusing on Wade Wilson. Because if that's how they found you, that's the only way that they know you.
Exactly. And I mean, it was just crazy to me because I mean, I kind of saw that before, but then, just recently on the videos about North Carolina, I'm like, you have no idea what I'm saying. You're just saying save Wade with a bunch of blue hearts. And then I was on the Facebook groups for a lot of the people that were his supporters just so I could be lurking, like I never posted anything because I didn't want him to kick me out. And that's, of course, when I ran across the horse video that they made, with Celine Dion singing, and he's like riding in on a horse. No, it was
that video is ridiculous.
And he's in the background.
I need that video. I need that.
Oh,
I missed that.
God.
I need that.
I'll find it for you, Plug. It's cringe.
Freaking drawing pictures of him. Why don't you just take 2 seconds and research him? Do that. Pictures with angel wings, because I can tell you right now, he is not no damn angel. And he ain't going no damn where near one ever again. Okay? It's serious. It's so serious. 'Cause I'm your lady. I couldn't even believe that the person even posted it in a Facebook group in support of him. Like, I would have been embarrassed to even do that.
Those and the fake AI ones where they're like crying and hugging him in court. Though, like those are like, first off, I need to know what AI app you're using because I mean it's decent, but why?
No, it's not. Yeah, and I mean, where he's like hugging people and crying, and when it's not even. Yeah, the AI stuff is just. It's all ridiculous, and I mean they're making slideshows. I mean, putting angel wings on him. I'm like, dude, this dude is as close to evil on earth as you're probably going to get.
Yeah, he's not going to earn no angel wings. There ain't no way that man is earning angel wings.
So Jessie, I've been getting a lot of comments lately saying Jessie, that ain't her real name. All the stuff. People have been like, I don't know if it's her with these bots because I think that she knows how to use bots, but that's her real name. It's in paperwork. Like she's in paperwork with that name. Like she's not gonna have a fake name in paperwork.
Yeah, I always just assumed that it really was her name because before those court documents got sealed, that she filed that lawsuit against Lee County. I mean, it had her name on there. So,
Yep.
and they got sealed, I think, later that same day. But I mean,
Yeah, but we grabbed that
we got
all
'em,
before.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't not
There
quick
was no
enough.
point. You didn't need to seal that after we got it all.
Exactly. I mean, I was like, I already got everything downloaded, but seal it all you want, Jesse.
And her little cease and desist that she sent out that had her name on it, and then she got mad. Like, whatever.
That was I saw like one of the envelopes that she sent it in, and I'm like, could this be any less professional? I mean, she literally didn't even bother to like put a printed address label on it or anything. It was just written by hand. I mean, I would.
Yeah, so that's crazy. So we do know that is their lawyer, but that was a template that she made in hopes that she would be in the clear of all the money that's gone because she didn't pay that much for Michael Utterman.
Well, I've since seen a video. Now, I don't know. I'm sure she probably just, she's showing where she goes into her email and she pulls up the email and is like scrolling up and down showing you the attachment. And it appears to come from the law firm. But I mean, she could have just made up an email and named it whatever that law firm is, But that invoice was the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen in my life. It was so unprofessional. And the thing is, anybody that he has as like a legal assistant or, whatever, you have like most people have to have like a degree in that. They teach you specifically how to format documents. It is a huge part of your classwork. Like exactly how to space them, exactly how to do everything. And this was like so ridiculous. I mean, it was ridiculous. So if his assistant did do it, then he needs to fire her and find someone that actually went to college.
Now that we've heard the Ari and the Vivian calls, and I tried to go back and pinpoint certain dates where like Wade said the date or like an upcoming date, and I wasn't able to like find what I was trying to remember. But I believe certain dates are said on those two calls that further debunk that invoice because there's payments on there, and I have it right here. I'm going to look it up. There's payments that show payments on August 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. And I want to say he was talking to Ari and Vivian around that time because it's before his sentencing. So that further debunks that they had Ufferman set up by then.
Yeah, there were several calls that came out before his sentencing that he's actually talking to people about trying to get a lawyer. Even Jesse, I believe. I mean,
right, and they have yet to mention Michael Ufferman, and we're around that date of when she's saying she's made these payments.
Yeah, and she's in the calls that saying, I'm working on it. I'm gonna try to, I'm making calls and working on trying to get him a lawyer. It's clear in those calls that they have not secured a lawyer at the time. And so if we know a roundabout date, I'm not sure how specific they get it over at phone calls from prison, but from what I hear, they know exactly who's on the calls and the date of them. So yeah, I don't believe any of that. And why would you give somebody an invoice that's dated like, I think it was 3 or 4 days before like the last 2 payments were made?
Exactly. It was dated the 13th and there was payments on the 14th and the 15th.
So did they just have a crystal ball and know that they were going to pay on those days? And they went ahead and gave them a receipt saying they did when they didn't?
I mean, why not just make the whole payment on the 12th if you already had the money?
Exactly. And I mean, the thing about
the GoFundMe or whatever, the Fundly account wasn't up to the $90K at that point.
And the thing that a lot of people aren't realizing about those dates, when you actually work for a law firm, you have a template that automatically changes the date to the correct day. You don't have to go change it. This stuff automatically populates. So unless you override what it automatically put in there, it's going to be right.
Right.
So it's not just as simple as, oh, they just left the wrong day on there. Because even
if anybody would know, you would know too, because Jesse is trying to do something that you already did time for in a different way, though, in a different, you know what I'm saying? She's, you know.
And I mean, it's that invoice is just piss poor pathetic. Okay. And it didn't even have an invoice number on it. There are so many places that it would say the name of the law firm, not just say the attorney. I mean, it was clearly a freaking template. And the thing is, law firms don't use templates like that. They pay like to license software so that you have, like, they give everybody a login for this like zip forms or whatever it is. Zip forms is what we use for real estate, but and you log in and it gives you, you know, a list of all your stuff to choose from. They're using professional stuff. They're not using stuff that you can find on a free template. I mean, and they certainly don't say owing. That was the dumbest thing ever. Like at the bottom when it said, like, instead of saying balance due, it said like balance owing. No one says that. That is not a professional way to say it at all. Like,
we should reach out to Charlie Adelson and see what his invoice looks like, because he's Charlie Adelson's appeal. How do you say it? Appellant attorney?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Charlie Adelson's attorney too.
I just have a really hard time thinking that, you know, a lawyer that is capable of charging that much money is using a legal assistant using non-licensed software. I mean, they pay a fee for the software every year. I mean, it's what professionals do.
I mean, even at small vet clinics had their own software that they paid for each year.
Right. Because
you would expect a huge law firm to have like something better than a template like that.
Yeah, I mean, even our real estate the businesses around here that were just one or two agents, they still paid for their software. I mean, that's how you do it to keep it like cohesive amongst, you know, lawyers or whatever. And of course you can, you know, have a different logo and all that, but I mean, that was the most unprofessional thing I've ever seen. And also, it didn't even say that, like, where the money went into, because every person has for each client, the money goes into a trust account for them. If it's a case like this, where you're taking multiple payments and have a balance on it. So it would have said the name of, you know, whatever the trust account is, and the date that it was deposited in there and everything, and it just didn't even have like any of that. I mean,
well, his name wasn't even the same. Like at one point it said Wade Stephen Wilson, and then on the next line it just said Wade Wilson. Like it would have remained uniform, right?
Yes, it would have been the same. That is one of the main things that they will teach you in college when you're preparing documents. I mean, there's a whole class, maybe even two classes, that you end up taking for like almost a whole year, just showing you how to format documents. Now, I mean, this is, you know, I know I'm a little older. I'm 40 years old, but I can't imagine it got worse. I mean, we were taught, you know, everything that you do, you stay consistent throughout the document. If you're just using his first and last name, then you use his first and last name all the way through. If you use his full name, which is what they would normally do, then you use his full name everywhere all the way through. And then there's a part that I believe it says description of services, and services is not capitalized. That would be capitalized. Like, that screams I'm wrong.
You're right. I'm looking at it. It's not. It's all lowercase except for the D on description. And then it says that like the family will be responsible for the remaining balance.
And that's like so stupid. That would never be on there. I mean, that would be in the notes section if there was a notes section. And it would probably just be noted in their software, not on the actual receipt. They would probably just have a note put in that only they could see when they pull up that account. So I mean, they're not going to put that on there unless she purposely asked him to. I mean, I just don't, I find it really hard to believe that somebody that can make that much money as a lawyer is not having professional documents put out, because that was the most amateur thing I've ever seen in my life. And I could have did something better with no template in 5 minutes. It's just pathetic. And I stand by that.
Is it a crime? Do you think Jessie committed a crime?
Well, you're not supposed to be impersonating any kind of legal official. They're not necessarily government, but I mean, I think that she has probably committed some crimes. I don't have any proof of it. I'm not exactly sure. She could probably get in trouble for impersonating the lawyer, but I know she can get in trouble for lying to the people that she has advertised to, that have sent her money in this GoFundMe or Fundly or whatever it was, because you are by law required to say exactly what it's going for. And if you lie about what it goes for, then that is fraud. That is obtaining money under false pretenses. So I believe that at the very least, even just her admitting that she was in a relationship with him after she was telling everyone she wasn't, that is obtaining money under false pretenses. And them hiring a person to do videos and stuff, that wasn't part of the plan. That, and he doesn't have medical costs. There are no medical costs. I think that was listed as on the Fundly as it would go to his attorney fees and like medical costs or something.
At one point, it did say medical, and they wanted to get him a bunch of different like vitamins and medications. And I was like, I don't know how they're gonna just like get that in all willy nilly to him, because you can't just send stuff to prison. Like, they
No,
get what they get, and you don't pitch a fit.
He is considered state property, and you go on a state insurance plan when you are incarcerated, because he's literally state property, just like I was. And I was on like a Aetna plan or something. I saw it one time when I had to go out to the dentist. But anything that he needs done, the off grounds, he has insurance that covers that. Like, because they're the ones responsible for it. The only charges that he's going to have, and they may have did away with this, but back when I was there, they charged $5 a month per prescription. But like, if you didn't have the money, you still got it. It would just build up on your account as like
I know
negative.
they do that for like medical call outs and stuff. It's like $5 a piece in Florida
like
State.
$5. Yeah.
Yep.
I think it was, everywhere is going to be a little different, but it's little amounts, not, and I know there's been said that he wants to get his teeth fixed. They will not fix his teeth. He will get the bare minimum dental care. It does not matter if he has the money to pay for it or not. He's not getting it.
Now his hernia, like, unless that's life-threatening, they're going to leave that be too, right?
Exactly.
Because people survive with that all the time.
He will have to have, in order to have a surgery done like that, it's this huge process when you're taken off the grounds. You have to have the doctor's approval. You have to have the warden's approval. They have to send for downtown. I mean, it's more than that. It's like so many people that have to put an approval in for this. And they have to verify that it is a life-threatening thing. And then he has to have it scheduled. And they're not going to do that. For a hernia, they're not going to do it. Unless
Much
it's literally
less with him being on
open.
death row. Right. I mean, if his guts were falling out, that's one thing. But
either way, he wouldn't be the one paying for it. Like, if he did somehow miraculously get all this approved without it being life-threatening, it's going to get paid for by his state insurance.
So the Florida taxpayers then.
Exactly.
Yeah. So none of this money that they're raising would have gone towards that either. I guess that's why they switched it up eventually.
It's just complete bullshit. He wouldn't pay for the dentist. They're not going to fix his teeth. They will do whatever he'll be lucky to, not have an infection or something and have to walk around for weeks with a swole up face. I mean, because they literally don't do shit for you. And it doesn't matter how much money you got. I mean, I was locked up with a girl that was like, had this majorly rich family, she did not get anything any different. I mean, it's not like you can just pick whoever you want to out on the street and go get it done for any amount of money. In prison, it's not like that. Your money does not matter unless you're getting canteen.
So even P. Diddy wouldn't be getting his teeth fixed.
I feel like now I will say about him, he has enough money that he will eventually have all the people paid off and he will get special favors like that. He will, maybe not right now because he's under so much, scrutiny right now, but eventually once he gets settled wherever he's going to be and stuff, I'm sure he'll have special favors that he's paid very well for. Not Wade Wilson. Wade Wilson didn't have the money to do that.
No, even if they had $100,000, like even if it was the $650,000 that Ari promised, like that's not enough to pay these kinds of favors.
No, you're gonna have
you need big money.
You're gonna have to pay for the warden all the way down. So I mean, that's why I think that Diddy will eventually be able to get good food and stuff like that. Because he's gonna pay a lot of people a lot of money,
mm-hmm.
and he's only gonna be able to do that when the right people aren't looking.
Right.
So he's basically gonna have to pay off everybody.
Speaking of Ari,
oh God,
are you Ari?
No, I am not Ari, not by any means. And when I did a video about that, I didn't find out about it until a couple of my people were commenting on my videos, and I was like, I wasn't really paying any attention. And then I was like, wait a minute, 4 or 5 people have said this, and I was like, huh? And then I went and looked into it, and at that point, I had only listened to the call that came out that day because I was more concerned about other stuff that was going on. So I kind of dropped off of the whole Wade Wilson thing. And then I was like, oh my God, people really think that I'm her. And I'm like, it's posted in Reddit and everything. But Jumpsuit Pablo came in my comments and was like, I can tell you it is not her. Like he said he couldn't say who it was.
Yeah, shout out to Jumpsuit.
Yeah. Yes, thank you so much, because if he wouldn't have did that, then I would have probably kept getting like a ton of stuff. I mean, I was getting emails and everything. I mean, horrible. People were like, I cannot believe you. And I'm like, how dumb do y'all think I am? Do y'all think that I would really start a series showing phone calls if I'm going to eventually be in them?
And put yourself on camera. Like,
I mean, I didn't really think I sounded that much like her. I mean, maybe in some of the videos where I'm like picking on Jessie, or when I have it like on like 1.3 speed or whatever. But I mean, I'm Southern. I mean, there's certain words that I'm not going to be able to mask, but so much. And that girl is a freaking idiot. I'm sorry, but come on. If you followed me for longer than a month, you should know that I'm not stupid. I'm not saying I'm the smartest person in the world, but that girl's a dumbass.
I feel like Jessie, because Jessie said that she like checked her out and she was good and everything's good. Some part of me still feels like Jessie is involved with the Ari thing and knew that it was fake. And I can't figure out how.
I feel the same way, because I think that she knew it from the beginning, because I don't think that she would have let it get anywhere. Jessie is really stupid when it comes to Wade Wilson, but when it comes to actually, checking on stuff and like professional type stuff, she seems like she's very well educated, and she's going to know everything about anybody that she lets talk to her precious Wade.
Right.
So I just don't buy that either. And I'm just like you. I don't believe that she would put anybody in contact with him until she knew probably exactly who they are, where they live, how many kids they got, and where they work, and everything else.
Exactly, because they did that to a lot of people. They looked up everybody else's criminal history, like they verified a bunch of other people, but she like beat around the bush with Wade when he was like, well, how do you know that she's real? And she was like, well, her phone number came back as the same. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, she was just real vague with her answers about how she verified Ari.
I definitely believe that Ari could possibly be, but then I don't know, didn't the girl came out to end up being somebody that was stealing somebody else's identity for a long time. So I don't know.
That one still has me baffled. That one and Vivian, because like And I remember them saying with Ari that they don't want another Vivian situation. So I'm trying to like timeline. I guess the Vivian 200K happened before the Ari 650, and it's just like you got spoofed 2 times, but you let them both happen. Like,
I feel
I
like
don't know,
the one that was not Ori, but the one overseas,
the German chick.
that might have been harder to verify. But still, I mean, everybody's on. I mean, you can just Google somebody's name and find out if they're at least a real person.
So speaking of doing that, Jesse, they cleared a lot of their internet footprint before people started finding out who they were. So we weren't able to find a whole lot on her without digging like really deep, and we were only able to, uncover so many pictures of her. And
Right. I dug pretty deep on her. And
She did work for Aspen Dental. Courtney confirmed that. There's a keychain that she had on during the interview, but go ahead.
Yeah, she did work for Aspen Dental. She has a degree in PR. That's why she's so good at knowing how to spin things to the public.
Mm-hmm. She's not very good at her public speaking though, and I'm at fault for this too because I don't like public speaking. I say a lot.
Oh,
And
I
Jesse
do.
says all like whenever I edit my videos, I edit out probably 17
Oh my god, me too. I swear, like
and
it's
still
so.
leave in 17. Like,
I thought that was just me.
no, I'm just as bad for it because I'm like trying to collect all my thoughts and make sure that I'm saying it in the right way. But Jesse says a lot for someone who has PR experience, in my opinion.
You're exactly right. And honestly, I did not think that they would spend this money on a lawyer because let's be real, Wade knows he's never leaving. He knows that. He's known that from the day this has happened.
He's never said he's innocent. He's never said he didn't do this except for in one interview.
So I don't
He said he was set up though.
He was gonna, yeah, but a lot of times people will say stuff to him, like in some of these calls, like that he's in a call with Joey recently, and Joey's like, "You're out here murdering women, and I don't even care." And then he just laughed and didn't even say, "Hey, I didn't mean." But then later on in the call, he's like, "Well, if it comes out that I'm innocent, are you gonna be sorry for believing all those things?" So he says it at certain times, but you're right. It's been so many times where they have pointed out what he did, and he does not even. He doesn't say he didn't do it.
Right. Joey said, and I hate Joey for this.
Yeah,
Joey
me too.
said, oh, I don't care. You killed 2 women. And he laughed about it. Wade laughed about it.
Yes, he did. And the thing is, the only reason I believe that he even switched his story was because he knew that it would be more difficult for him to get money for women in prison when they think he's killed 2 women. And I believe his parents' house burnt down, which was proven to be, I believe, to a faulty hot water heater or something like that. And I think he said, "Hey, this is a good opportunity. I can spin this story, get these chicks to do me a GoFundMe, and end up profiting all that money, get a ton more drugs in, like he's already overdosed before." And I mean, I think that was what his plan was all along, but then he picked Jessie to do all this. And I think Jessie knew that if she didn't at least get this lawyer secured and try to make it look like that's what all it went to, she knew she was going to go to prison herself.
Right. Which she might still be looking at time now, but that's why she didn't want these calls to come out because of how incriminating it gets for her.
I think at the very least, she's guilty of obtaining money under false pretenses, but that's not always super bad. I mean, on this scale, I think it would be though, because it's a lot of money.
Right. And it's worldwide.
And
there's people that have donated 24,000
and it would be a conspiracy charge as well, because she conspired with Team Wade or whatever, and Wade to plot to get this money from people. So yeah, she's looking. I mean, they could possibly charge her with some things, and especially if that invoice, if she can't prove that invoice came from the lawyer, then I mean that's just another. I'm not. I don't really know exactly if they could charge her for like forgery, or it would just be more proof that she obtained money under false pretenses because she made a fake document to tell everyone that donated the money where it went when it didn't really go there.
Ding, 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 ding.
Right.
Feel that. Yeah,
Now,
she's definitely got the feds on her ass. Go ahead.
you mentioned him getting in drugs and I wanted to there's two things that I wanted to bring up. One, and I'll come back to the Bonnie thing, Bonnie Wiggins. But I want to, because you said something about, he chose Jesse to run all of this for him. How quick do relationships go from I met you on the kiosk to 2 months, we're engaged and I have a tattoo of you?
I am, this even baffles me because I saw it a lot. I saw a lot of women would lie to men, tell them that they would come home, be with them when they get home, just to get, some money for canteen or whatever. And some of these people that they talk to really are just that hard up to talk to anybody that they act like they believe it. Whether or not they do or not is one thing, but they play along. But I feel like Jessie has to know, especially now that she's heard all these calls. I mean, she's got to know that like he doesn't even like her. I mean,
No, we can hear that by his tone.
I mean, he doesn't even like her, and that's bad enough. Not even talking about the explicit calls that you had to pay to listen to. He's lied to her in literally every way possible, and she's still. I don't know what her end goal is, because if she has any sense, the best case scenario for the dude is getting life in prison, and he could have got that for free.
Right, right. It wouldn't have cost anything. The state would have still appointed him appellant attorney.
And then as he gets down, a lot of times in these death penalty cases, once you get closer to it, like they will change your sentence somehow. There's something that I don't know if it's like the final appeal or whatever, but I've heard of people once they've been in for like 10 years getting changed to just life in prison. And that's not by them spending money on lawyers. It's just how they're just trying to get people off the list, because there's
Right.
so many people that they need to do that to, that they can't even keep up with it, I guess.
Right. Florida has almost 300 on death row right now.
Yeah, I was seeing. I think that I saw said that it was 280 or something at one point.
That's about what it is right now. Like I was about to say they put one down. They executed one guy the same day that Wade Wilson got put on death row. Like it was one in, one out, basically.
But I mean, Jessie saying all of this, I think she's almost getting Wade to almost believe that he has a chance, when I know damn well he knew he didn't. So unless he's listening to her, hype it up, and I think she's just ignorant to the fact and doesn't understand how the law works and doesn't understand how the system is. So technically, yeah, there is a hope, but do I think anything's going to change from it? He might get life in prison. That's it. They can sit there and say that there's so much stuff wrong with the case because, his attorneys weren't the greatest. They did drop the ball on a lot of things. They didn't investigate a lot of things properly. But then again, you got to think about why. They had his confession. So, I mean, when you have someone's confession like that, you kind of don't really, it takes away the initiative to like prove yourself. So a lot of these cases that we follow, it's rare to see somewhere that actually investigates the way they should. And in this case, they didn't do as well as they should. And a lot of stuff, I believe, is still not public information dealing with that. But it doesn't matter. He's still guilty. Like, that them having procedural errors and dropping the ball on things doesn't make him innocent.
Right. The way that Team Wade likes to say that there's inconsistencies, like they didn't really need to fully investigate this case because he confessed so many times.
And I mean, yes, they should have been more thorough with things, but I mean, if anybody that follows true crime cases, they investigate so shitty in so many of these cases, and it's just unreal sometimes. But I can totally see why they did that in this case. I mean, if you have a confession, multiple confessions to multiple different people, you're going to do the bare minimum because, I mean, they're getting a paycheck, so they don't really care. You know, they're going to do the bare minimum. And they figure, well, this guy's already confessed to 3-4 people, so we just do this to say we did it and then move on. And, I mean, his lawyer didn't care because he knew he wasn't going to, there was no defending him.
No, there was no defending him. The only thing that the lawyers could have done was gotten him, like, fought for life instead of death.
And, I mean, I think he does have some grounds to get, you know, those issues addressed, but he could have a freaking perfect lawyer with all the evidence laid out perfectly. It's not gonna, I mean, he's gonna get the same thing. It's not gonna matter. It doesn't make him innocent by any means. There's no way. And we all have to think about this too. All these people that say he's innocent, the ones that are, a lot of them are overseas. They don't really understand fully, I believe, what's going on. They haven't watched everything as in depth as we have. We have to remember, this man said, I will show you where the second victim's body is, who is
Or a Happy
prepared
Meal.
for a freaking burger and fries. This is a human being where their family wants to know where they are so they can bury her. And you're like, well, I know, but I'll tell you for a burger and fries. Like, what kind of human being does that? Not one that actually gives a shit about anybody but himself.
Well, you did time. It might have been a minimum security level, whatever, but was snitching prominent? Was this, you can't snitch inside prison? You, right? Is that true?
Not where I was. I mean, we weren't dealing with people that were doing major crimes and stuff. I mean, so that may be something that they do to get time off of their sentences when they have like really long sentences in like a maximum security prison. Like if your roommate tells a lot of stuff, you know, on you, they can do that. So I've heard of that happening before, but not where I was. No, I mean, there's no use in snitching because everybody's already got their time and they're doing it. So it ain't gonna do any good.
What's your opinion on Mila? Do you think she's completely innocent?
I think as far as the murders go, that she is completely innocent. As far as professionally, I think that there's probably some truth to the things that Wade has said. But I don't know to what degree. I wouldn't say that it's a whole organization and all that. But personally, you know, the spa may not be the most above board place, but it could be. I mean, I don't know. But I don't think it's to any degree to what Wade has said. But as far as her, you know, involvement in the murders, I don't think that she's involved in any of that at all. But I do think that she's probably guilty of some other stuff, if I had to guess. But not necessarily like nothing like major criminal.
What do you think about the whole Team Wade theory of the blonde girl in the driveway? Have you heard anything about this?
I read the deposition on that, where it, as far as I know, it was one witness that said that there was a blonde girl walking near the woods. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I feel like I would need more than one person to
You
say.
know my theory on this? This is what I think. So the lady that wrote this wasn't the lady the homeowner. It was actually a lady across the street that told a homeowner, and then the homeowner said it in the deposition. The homeowner didn't even report what the lady said. I think the lady across the street was clout chasing.
So it was that actually sounds really, if you've ever had a nosy neighbor, they love to embellish things. They just do. They want to act like they know everything and seen everything and tell you everything, and they're just gossipers. So I don't know what it could have been. It could have definitely been exactly what you're saying, clout chasing, because I mean, this is like a secondhand account. So basically, it could have got lost in translation, and then it could have just been exaggerating stuff from the get go. But the person, I mean, it could have been the neighbor walking out to their trash can or something. I mean, who knows? I feel like we need more than just one person to say that. And they're in Florida. How many blondes are in Florida? I mean, a lot. I mean,
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's facts.
I don't think that it's enough to actually pin anything on Mila.
Right. I didn't think it was Mila, but the Team Wade tries to put her in that situation, or they try to put one of the kiosk girls in the situation too. I've heard that theory as well. But what about Eric? Do you know a lot about him?
Not really. I think that they all were kind of shady, and they were all probably involved in some illegal activities. I don't think that anyone set him up, though. Like, I don't buy that at all, because if you want to get rid of somebody, you just kill them. You don't go kill two women that he just happens to be with throughout the night and then pin it
Well,
on.
you read the theory on that? They say that those two women, and RIP to the victims. I do not believe this. This is just Team Wade. We're just reporting what they said, but they say that those two women were actually part of the organization as well, and he had someone go behind him through the night and do these murders, which is so crazy.
That's the first I've heard of this. I haven't heard this.
Yeah, so this is the Marie version on not on Strange Embers. I don't think she talks about that part. She might a little bit, but right before she went on Strange Embers, this is Jesse. She did a video which is deleted now, and we have it on one of these videos on YouTube Streets. Just have to go back, but she talks about talk about Griselda, where she breaks down how he's innocent.
I believe so. I would have to think. I've heard so many different theories at this point. I would have to go back and recap that video as well. But she does. And the thing is like Wade had a few years to sit behind bars and make up this story.
Oh yeah. Nothing better to do than look at the wall. He's
right
through, and it doesn't even make sense, though. It's never made sense. Even if they were hypothetically involved in this organization, do you really think that they were going to just volunteer to be a part of a plan that kills them both? That doesn't make sense either.
What about Lorenzo? I hate to get to this part, but I don't know how you feel about Chomos, but this platform, we despise Chomos, and we know Mila is a victim, but when it comes to her current husband, Lorenzo, we did show, and Reddit exposed this, I believe, first a while ago, right, Griselda? And then we did it
if not
after.
Team Wade. If it wasn't
Team Wade
Reddit, it was
on
Team
TikTok.
Wade that brought it up first. Yes.
Okay, well, whoever was, thank you to whoever was, because this is, he is disgusting.
You mean the accusations towards her husband?
Oh, it's not accusations. He's on Megan's Law.
Oh, okay, gotcha. See, I haven't really looked too much into him. I just know that I think that it's a really shady group to be hanging out with, and Mila seems kind of like, I don't know, she seems just easily go with the flow type of person, and I don't know, maybe she's just likes to party and hang out, and then she ends up being with the wrong type of people. But I don't know. I mean, shouldn't she have at least researched who she's marrying? But I don't know. I mean, I guess people do a lot of things when they're on drugs.
It all circles back to the Buddha as well, because this band with Lorenzo, Tommy, and Jake, the world's greatest villains, they even have a music video with Mila in it, and she's portraying a woman that is a victim of sex trafficking.
I mean,
And I get it, that can just be acting, but when you have these accusations against you already, that's kind of, I don't know, it's
I
just,
don't,
it's weird.
yeah, and I don't want to say either way, what I think of Mila because I don't know. It's just my personal opinion, but um, I think she just likes to party, and I think that she hangs around with the wrong crew, and other
Hmm.
people are trying to figure out how to profit off of her, and
I
she
agree.
lets them. That's just my opinion.
Yep. I agree.
So I don't believe she's, a 100% victim. I think this is just the type of men she dates. And there's women, a lot of women out there that we keep on dating the same thing over and over again, even though you know better. And I think that
Griselda.
that's probably what's the deal with her, possibly.
Griselda says she has a bad picker.
I
Yeah.
do. I went check the mail though.
Yeah, she definitely I mean, I don't have the greatest taste in men either, but I mean, I try to stay away from all that. But I think she just likes to party and have a good time, and that ends up getting her near people that she probably wouldn't otherwise be around. But it's just the lifestyle, I think.
Kiosk Kristen.
Oh my god.
Okay, her
We
daughter.
miss her.
Yeah, we kind of do miss her, even though she did. Listen, out of two people, Joey and Kiosk Kristen, they both talk really bad about the victims that we cannot forget. But when it comes to the entertainment aspect, Kiosk Kristen's more entertaining than Jesse. I think we all can agree about
Oh
that.
yeah, 1000%. Yeah, and I will say in Kiosk Kristen's defense, this was way back early on, so I don't know if she really knew what she was getting into there. Um, but I'm sure she regrets probably every bit of it. But then again, she's not innocent either because I mean we've done heard everything she said about her and her family and everything. I think she meant well, but you just don't. It's not a good idea to start talking to someone in prison when they are there for killing two women. So what do you expect?
She's definitely committed some crimes too. On one of these calls, we heard her talk about you're going to be feeling really good in 10 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah,
So she,
she's done
yeah,
things. I could tell she was trying to. She was saying things without saying them. You know,
I
um,
think she might have been getting drugs into him before Bonnie.
she probably. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. I don't know. I don't know anything about Lee County or anything, but you would have to have. I know even when I was locked up, there were people that were dropping drugs with drones, and then they would pay people that worked outside on the grounds they were inmates, but I mean it was just like the work crew that worked outside to like go pick them up, and then but I don't know how that would work in that prison that he is in. I mean even the jail, like I don't think that it would be the easiest to get anything in unless it was like people that are coming in for the weekend. There's a lot of people that do weekends and they don't really I guess dress them out the way they should, and it's easier to get stuff in.
Well, the way that Bonnie and her little crew did it, because she's not the only one. It was like four that were on the outside that got in trouble for it, and two or three inside that got in trouble for it, I believe, counting Wade. Um, but they would set it up around like the flagpole under like the tarp that you put under mulch or whatever. You know what,
Mm-hmm.
the little that black paper. They would put it under there, and then one of the trustees would go out and get
Is
it.
it
Yeah, when I was in jail, a girl got in a freaking pack of cigarettes like that. She would have her family like go like dig stuff up beside the fence and put stuff in.
Yeah, yeah.
But
They had cigarettes, meth, and I don't remember what else. Some lighters and something else. Maybe some pills.
yeah, I mean the trustees, they definitely do have a lot of privileges. And I can definitely see that happening. And there were, especially where I was when I was actually in prison. I mean, they even had golf carts to ride around and everything, and I mean, they were free to just roam everywhere. So they're who you want to get in with because they're the ones that can do you the favors.
Right. Now, I don't know, have you looked into Bonnie Wiggins' case at all?
No, I saw like a kiosk email that she sent talking about getting involved and all that stuff and how she wished it was so much stuff going on or something with that.
Right.
Um, I don't really know too much about her because, like, this is at the time when we found out about her when we were getting thrown a different girl every day. So I was
Right.
like, Jesus.
Right. And then Bonnie was, I mean, we haven't even met her on the kiosk yet. We've only met her through her friend Jessica on TikTok. Um, but is my understanding, and I mean, not just understanding, I looked up the charges, but she was on probation for a previous drug charge when she got busted for this one. So do you think that she's a victim of Wade Wilson, or this is the consequences of her own grown-up adult woman actions?
Oh no, she's not. I don't believe that anybody is a victim of him that he hasn't physically hurt because everybody that is grown has to make their own decisions. If you've been in jail and have a history, you know better than anyone else what can happen to you. You know it is a felony charge, probably multiple felony charges to do that. And if you make the choice to do that when you are on probation, then you're just asking to get locked back up and get more time. So she probably did it because it was benefiting her in some way as well.
Yeah, because they're out here saying like free Bonnie Wiggins, and I'm like, Bonnie Wiggins was free when she was on
Yeah, I mean,
probation when she did this. Like that was her second chance to me.
and from what I've heard listening to all these calls, Wade, everybody says that he is like a great manipulator, but honestly, he's really not.
He's
Like he
not. That's
doesn't
just
even
jail talk. These girls just don't understand jail talk, in my
yeah, like
opinion.
he's really not. And I mean, these girls that he preys on women that I believe have low self-esteem. He uses his looks to his advantage, even though I think he looks like straight shit with all those tattoos. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I've dated better looking guys than him. So he's not that
Talk your
fabulous.
shit.
I mean, he's just really not that fabulous at all.
He's not.
And if you can tell like he doesn't necessarily date what you would think he would date because they would never buy that bullshit. I
Right.
mean, you're not going to just talk to somebody for a day or two and then think it's time to go get a tattoo and you love them and you're going to be with them. Like, what's wrong with you? What the hell? That's not how life works. I
That's
mean,
the part that gets me. Like these girls get sucked in so quick,
yeah, and that's
and
not how it should be. That's their low self esteem talking.
like, would they be falling for the same thing on the outside? Probably not.
And I mean, I think that he obviously dates people that have a very low self-esteem that he makes them think that they are so lucky to have him. And I don't know. He hasn't even said anything particularly. I mean, I can hear it. I guess I can just hear it. I know it so well. I mean, if I was probably a teenager, I wasn't that smart, but now I've heard this same shit so many times. I'm like, try again.
Right.
I mean, it ain't even really that good. I don't know how people fall in love with somebody that is in prison in a day or two or even weeks. I mean, and then go get tattoos. Like he's had multiple women get tattoos. Like something is wrong with them. Like, why do you need somebody to care about you that bad that you just believe everything that they say without questioning it? Like that's a personal issue for these women, and that's what he goes after.
I
And
think it's
then
a
like,
time.
no, go ahead.
I think it's a timing thing. I think a lot of these women were fans of true crime, and they didn't get what they wanted with Chris Watts, right? And as soon as Wade Wilson comes around, it's just, you know, he filled the void.
So we have, there's buckle bunnies that follow the rodeo guys. What are the girls? I mean, we call them the kiosk girls, but what are the girls that just jump from inmates? Are they just inmate hoppers? Like, what is this?
Well, I don't know. I will say that the prison that I was in, almost everyone had a girlfriend there. And you never know when you're going to get moved, like from one hall to another. Usually, if they find out that you have a girlfriend living on the same hall, they'll move one of you off the hall because they don't want
Okay.
you, in doing stuff you shouldn't be doing.
Right.
And there will be people that will be with the same person for like a year. They'll be with them in the day room every day. They are always with them, acting like they love them so much. And literally, they get moved to another hall, and they will be with another girl the next day. And it
So
is
if it's like that inside, it's definitely
yes.
like that with the girls on the outside.
And I just did not understand it. I was like, what is wrong with y'all? I'm like, you just spent a year making plans and spending all this time with this girl, and you've literally been away from her for a day, and you've already met another girl on another hall. Like, what is wrong with you that you need to have attention that damn bad? Like, it was pathetic to me. And it
So
was
this is
all,
just as much of a Wade needs these girls as these girls feel like they need Wade.
I mean, I've always been a strong-minded person, so I just don't see how these women do it like this. But this has definitely been an eye-opening case because, and no offense to men, but men are kind of like hardwired. You kind of just, they're gonna go for women. That's just how it is. But
Right.
like, there's just as many women that are nuts, and I didn't
Yes.
even know.
Yes, absolutely. Now, do you frown upon people having and because you've been on the other side of this, I want your opinion. Do you frown upon people having inmates as pen pals where they're not like the case like Wade, where they're just friends and they literally just give that person somebody else on the outside to communicate with?
No, I think that everybody needs somebody to talk to, of course, like when you're in there, but I do think that if you're somebody that is seeking out an inmate to talk to just because you just want to talk to somebody, there's something that's not right
Okay.
because it doesn't necessarily mean you're like a bad person or anything like that. I think that most of the men that I talked to when I was in there, they have this fantasy of like what they want their life to be, and they can't really get it in real life because of whatever reason. They may not look good enough or be too awkward or whatever. So it's easier for them to like be with someone in prison that they know that they're probably never going to meet, but
Right.
they can make these plans for possibly being with them in the future, and that's like the only type of relationship that they really have, because I think they're probably too scared to have a real relationship with somebody in real
Mm-hmm.
life. And of course they're not going to be able to find somebody that is like as pretty as them or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of pretty girls that are locked up.
Right.
And I just think that they could have a girlfriend on the outside if they lowered what they want a little bit, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I never talked to anybody that I thought was actually like completely all there. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
something ain't right. Now, I mean, they were good people. I talked to a couple guys off and on, but I was not the type that I was not on the phone. I would talk on the kiosk. I didn't get on the phone and talk to people. I didn't tell them I'm going to come home and marry you. I didn't even say the guys that you want to talk to in prison are the ones that don't want to talk dirty. They don't even talk to you like any kind of way other than they want to just like send you a little bit of money to make sure you're not starving. And they want you to like send them an email every couple of days just asking how their day is. And that's the
Right.
guys that I talked to. Just ones that it was more of a friendship than anything. I was
Right.
never anybody's girlfriend. I never said I'm going to marry you. Never made any plans to meet anything like that. And, that was kind of a lot of the guys will talk to girls just to get dirty talk and all that. Those are not the ones that are going to give you any money. They might send you $20 or something, but like
Right.
that's not who you want to talk to. You want to talk to the guys that are actually like, nice, proper, that never say anything out of the way at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't need to do all that mess. And I mean, I had a really good relationship with one dude for 2 years. And I mean, I didn't talk to him on the phone but one time. And I think it was just to say hello or whatever, to prove that I was who I was.
Right.
And I would send him maybe 2 emails a week, just say, hey, how are you doing? I mean, we didn't call each other baby or anything like that. He never even said so much as he wanted to give me a hug. I mean, it was just straight up like a
Just a
friendly,
platonic
yeah,
friendship.
yes. Just, I
Right.
think he just liked that he could help me out, and he liked that I could check on him and see how his day went,
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I didn't even send him an email every day. Probably maybe twice a week. That's it.
But
I
that
won't do
still
it good.
kept the friendship going. I mean, and it
Yeah,
gave you
yeah, and I
somebody to
mean,
talk to and him somebody as well.
yeah, and I mean, when you're in there, you always need people to like look up stuff for you because you can't look. You don't have Google in there,
Right.
and just little things like that. It always helps to have somebody that can check on stuff like that for you. But a lot of those women were promising these men the world, and I was like, that I don't have any respect for whatsoever, because it's what they all do because they want money for drugs.
Now, see, that's one thing we don't hear from Wade. We don't hear him promising rainbows and unicorns and oceanfront property in Arizona. Like, he's not promising any of that. He's always just promising when I can be home with you. Like, he doesn't spit a lot of like false
He
things
doesn't
that he's
talk
gonna
about the
give
future a
the
whole lot.
yeah.
Like he will say that he's going to marry them, but he
Right.
doesn't sit there and
He
like
can get married in
plan.
prison though, so
Right. He doesn't sit there and like say, we're going to have a house with a picket fence and this and that and all that.
all of that was Jessie. That's the only person that we ever really heard it from, and she was the one talking about we're gonna have 5 kids and I'm gonna buy us a house and this, that, and the third. But it was never, if I'm recalling correctly, because that feels like years ago at this point. It was never him saying it. It was somebody else.
He wants to make sure that the people that he talks to, that he actually sticks with, are people that think that he's doing them a favor by letting them talk to him.
That's crazy. Because like I
Anybody
always
that,
put it, I'm
yeah,
like, you're letting a man with a bedtime talk to you like this. You're paying for a man with a bedtime to talk to you like this.
I had no idea that there were this many women that were literally just this damn stupid. I
Just
mean,
crawling all over him. Like,
and he's not even that good looking. He's not
no,
that good
he's
looking.
not. I'm sorry. Like, scroll through. If you're hard up that bad for an inmate, scroll through writeaprisoner.com and find one that's better looking, has a guarantee of getting out, doesn't have such violent crimes against the women. Like,
Yeah, he's literally the worst choice you could make.
they wouldn't even put him on writeaprisoner.com probably. They
No,
would
they
get his
wouldn't.
application and be like, no.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna. A lot of times they won't take people like that because they don't want, possible crimes in the future happening because of a connection that they caused.
Right. Right. And I mean,
So,
these women are literally only because I'll be the first to say the way that Wade Wilson came across my For You pages, I read dark romance books, and I had just finished a book that is oddly like favors Wade's tattoos on his face. It's weird. But so I just finished that book, and then a thirst trap came across my For You page, and I was like, oh, he's walking into a courtroom. Let me see what he did, was like my first reaction. Then I was like, ew, no.
yeah,
Like,
I'd seen him on a couple things just because of the tattoos or whatever, but like I just didn't pay attention to it. I would just scroll until the next thing. But I'm like you, I saw one of those thirst trap videos where he's walking in the suit, and I'm like,
yeah,
whoa, wait a minute, he's kind of cute. I mean, just enough to like look twice, not enough to like
absolutely. That's
do
exactly what it
insane,
was. It didn't
not
give me
enough
a
to
little
do this
tingle in my
and
pants or nothing,
yeah,
but
just enough to look twice, not enough to do all this insane stupid shit these
heck
women are
no.
doing. And then
No.
that was before I knew what he did. then once I like found out what he did, I'm like, okay, obviously he's a horrible person. And then when we hear these calls come out and you see how, the confessions and everything, and you hear how he really does not give two shits about these women. He doesn't even know their name. He doesn't care. That was just completely out of his mind. Like, it didn't even matter. It was just another
Right.
day. It was just
And then
another
to
day.
hear him talk so like negatively about the people who've even donated to his quote unquote cause to
Yeah,
get
he
him
doesn't
free.
appreciate
Like
he
he
doesn't
doesn't
appreciate
appreciate
anything.
shit.
No, he doesn't. And he's just bragging on his own ego at how he is so good that he, conned these women out of this money.
Right.
That's how he sees it.
And that's how you know it's a con. I mean, he's straight up saying it. Like what Jesse says, how much more can we milk him for? Like,
And Jesse is dumb enough to know, doesn't even realize it's being done to her too. Like, she's literally his secretary. I mean, he doesn't even like her. The whole time that they're having a conversation, even when she tries to have dirty talk, he doesn't want to. Imagine
he
that.
says I'm too
Imagine that.
tired. A man in solitary confinement is too tired to have
Too
sexy
tired.
time.
I've had a rough day looking at this concrete wall, and I didn't already had to talk to 2 or 3 other women that I'm not
Right.
telling you I'm talking to.
Because I'm not
So
talking to anybody else.
So I'm all XXX out for the day. Try me tomorrow, because I just can't make up one more shit story for today.
Right. Just I don't know.
And she's like, I totally understand. Sure, I understand, of course.
I'm sorry. Are you mad?
And then he's like telling her to shut up and that she talks too much. I would be like, excuse me, who do you think you're talking to?
You'd have
Actually,
heard that GTL lady quicker than ever
Oh my
before. That lady
God.
would have said, "Thank you for using GTL."
GTL. Oh, that's another thing. That caused me a little PTSD there, because I had the same damn GTL lady.
Oh no.
And it is exactly the same. It is exactly the same. It doesn't bother me anymore now, but hearing it again for the first couple times, I was like, oh my God.
Oh, I bet. And look, sometimes I look forward to her. Sometimes I'm like,
Yeah,
this call
'cause it's like,
cannot
thank
end fast
God.
enough.
It's like, thank God, can we please get over with this? And I mean, Jumpsuit Pablo is really the main one that's made this tolerable, because he turns it into like funny stuff. And I don't even really like listening to him anymore, just without hearing him in there, because at this point I'm just kind of almost sick of it. Especially
No,
when
I am too.
he's got so many women. He has a flow chart. I mean,
Right. We have seasons. We have different seasons. And to think we haven't covered in between Kiosk Kristen at the end of 2019 and this summer. Like, there's so much more to cover.
and I mean, honestly, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to do it, because it's like I'm just so. I mean, I'm not over it because it's always something new. But just like when Jesse brought back Team Wade with that damn video where with Rihanna and Jay-Z, which is highly illegal, by the way. I'm sure Rihanna and Jay-Z do not want to be associated with this ass.
Right.
But I'm like, who the hell made this video? Like, you're making it like you're acting like it's like some sequel or something that we've been wanting for years, and it's finally coming out. Like, it's fucking Wade Wilson. What are you talking about?
And they were gone for like a week each time.
Yeah, and the only reason they're coming back is because they need more money to make the next payment to the lawyer, which they wouldn't need if they would have spent the money on what they were supposed to spend the money on.
Right. It still doesn't account for almost $100,000 that they had.
Yeah, I mean, because the Funly is really the only like public thing we know about. There were people sending PayPals, Cash Apps, all this side stuff that we have no idea how much that
Right,
even
and
was.
it's probably not, I mean, of course it can be looked into if the official want to look into it. They can track all that down.
But I don't really. There's money that's not accounted for sure. And
what do you think about the whole Feather $200,000 cash situation?
I think I just heard about that. Are you talking about the chick that said that she was going to send money and then she ended up not?
Yeah, so the German chick was gonna give Jesse $200,000 in cash, and Jesse had a code name of Feather, and she was gonna be one of his boys' girlfriends, and your name is Feather. Like what? What? What kind of street name is that?
What is a fucking feather? Like, what kind
I
of
don't
code name is
know.
that?
Like what name is that?
She doesn't really make the best decisions when she's under pressure.
No. No, definitely not. And Wade has her under pressure all the time. Under pressure. Are there any calls that you're looking forward to hearing?
I don't know. Like, I want to see if he has another guy call. Like, if
Well,
he
I don't know
talks
if
to
you
other
listened to
guys.
the most recent calls with Vivian. I fell asleep. If we're gonna be honest, I did fall asleep. They were that boring. But she's like, "You're talking to other people," and he's like, "You're right. There's a guy and a girl." So I'm curious.
And he's such a smart ass about everything too. Like, Jesse will be like, well, you're just gonna talk to them for the money, right? Like, you're not gonna talk to them romantically. And I mean, he's like, no, no, of course not. And I'm like, Jesse, have you not been here with us listening to all this shit? Like,
Right.
does your brain not work? She's not an idiot. I mean, she's clearly got sense a little bit. I mean, she seems kind of educated,
But
but
she's
she
under
just,
some
it's
type
like
of
her brain's just right out the damn window with him.
Yes. Yes. And at first, she was real like lovey and like now she's almost developed into like this wannabe gangster like for him.
Oh yeah, she's like, I'm the ride or die. Like, and I don't know why. Because I mean, he just met the girl.
Right. But she's already ready to like go down
Pick up
for
and
him.
move, and
Right. She moved states for this dude
I can't imagine being that stupid. I just cannot. I mean,
who
I
can't do
just can't.
anything
Like,
for her.
the lengths that some of these women have went to, like saying that they're gonna fly in for his trial and all this shit. Are you kidding me right now?
And they have. And they like one girl, Haley, she thought she was the only one too, and she flew in. She didn't know any different. And Jesse was sitting right there next to her, or a few rows ahead of her. I'm not sure. But like, yeah, whole time
Yeah,
there was
that's why
probably
he didn't want
4
him to come to court.
or 6 different girls in there for him.
I mean, he's like, no, don't come to court because I don't want you to, meet the other 10 of you.
Right. Right. And then if you pay attention, and I would have to go back and look at all of the footage from sentencing, but he was like googly eyeing one guy towards the front the whole time.
How can you literally be getting sentenced to the death penalty and care about anything other than that? If you're Wade Wilson, you can.
Yeah, all he cared about was money on the kiosk and people believing that he's set up, and I don't get it. Like,
But
it
he
doesn't make
honestly, he
sense to
doesn't
me.
even push his setup narrative much.
No, he just pushes, give me money, give me money.
I know he's got to be pissed that the majority of that money actually went to the lawyer.
Oh, I'm sure, because they had to do it eventually.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
When
sure he
they
probably.
should have just had a state appointed attorney. I mean, a court appointed attorney.
I'm sure that he has probably told her to do all these things, like all these letters that he has supposedly written that we know she wrote.
Oh, let's get
And
into that. So, and I'll send Plug some screenshots to go with this, but comparing his handwriting from his letter that just recently went out with his apology, that shitty ass apology. I'm sorry that you heard those things that I said about you on the calls. Don't believe me, but believe me now. Is
it
basically
was
how
the
I
worst
read that.
apology ever.
But his handwriting didn't match previous things that we've seen in the court.
You're
previous
exactly right.
letter that he wrote to Kelly, the handwriting didn't match that either. That handwriting's different. And I have screenshots of letters that he had previously written around the time that he was with Breezy, that were like, it's explaining his whole story, and I don't remember who he had wrote them to, but they were like official, like stamped letters to go out to like different people in the media and whatnot. And the handwriting is different on
Yeah.
the Kelly letter and on the letter that Team Wade just posted.
And Kelly even said that like his grammar and stuff is horrible. And you
Right.
can even hear them on calls where he's literally telling Jesse to like feed him exactly what to say
Right. So
in
I'm
these
wondering
emails that he's emailing people.
I really don't feel like that apology letter was from him. I think that was a fake. Somebody like tried to copy his handwriting and didn't do a very good job, because even his signature doesn't match, even though his signature has pretty much stayed the same for the last 5 years.
And what's with the damn t-shirt, the merch that's got his signature on it? Because let me tell you, it's not him signing nothing.
Okay, so the only reason I believe that may have really come from him is because of the JPay thing at the bottom, but I don't know what it's like whenever they print a picture out. And I thought they printed in black and white, not color, but I'm not sure.
I thought maybe I didn't see it right, but it was a shirt with him on it, and it was like his signature going up the shirt. Were they trying to say that like he autographed that, or was that just supposed to be a copy of his signature?
I think it was a picture that somebody sent in to him via the kiosk of a shirt. He printed it and then signed it and then sent it back out. Like maybe it's like what they want their merch to be like, or this is like copy one of whatever. I'm not sure. There was like a little circle with something. I'm not sure if it was like he was trying to mark it as trademark, or if he was like marking this as like one of so many, or what. But it's like he's really trying to sell himself on eBay at this point. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, if they were trying to say that he actually signed those shirts, like in person, no,
that wouldn't happen.
Do not. Like you will never see. You don't see real clothes from the day you get locked up until the day you go home. That's just how it is.
The only thing is, like, if you're buying him shirts off of commissary and he's signing it and mailing them back out, like, but it's not gonna have a picture of him on it.
Yeah, I mean, and they're not going to go to all that trouble. And then, I mean, Jessie didn't even want to send the people that are sending thousands of dollars as court clothes.
No, she had fake clothes that she had bought that she was popping tags on to send out fake clothes, and she was going to have to wear it to make it look like it was worn. Like, I was so mad at that phone call. It's not like I spent the money to get his clothes, but like, how stupid are you being right now?
Well, that's definitely, I mean, that's fraud right there, because you are saying you're going to get something and you're getting a fake version of it, but you still gave the amount of money that you were supposed to get the real thing. So
also their little raffle that they did, I believe that could get her in trouble too, as like running a basically like a casino without the right documentation or something.
I think it depends on like what state you're in or whatever, but from what I've seen, you're not supposed to run a raffle unless it's for a non-profit reason.
Right.
Is what I've seen. Definitely not to be funding Wade Wilson.
No. It's the last type of raffle that I would be to get a phone call from jail that I have to pay for?
Yeah, and it even said you have to pay for the call. I was like, are you kidding me?
Like, you have to spend this money and give us this money and still pay for him to call you. Like, what?
It's ridiculous. But I mean, all these people overseas, for some reason, I don't know who got in their head over there and who convinced them of this, or if they're just that dumb, because I do believe that there are a lot of people that just don't care that he killed the people. They just still want him regardless. That is like a mental disorder.
I know in Germany, like a life sentence is 15 years. It's not really life.
A lot of them are just against the death penalty.
Right. But be against the death penalty for everybody. I don't see them out here fighting for all the people that the whole, every state has on the DP for the states that
Exactly.
offer it. You don't
I
see,
mean, if he was some old guy that looked like crap, nobody would give a shit.
right. Like there's one in Texas. What's today's date? There's one in Texas that's supposed to be executed in 2 days, I think. And they're saying that he's not even, he's innocent and he's going to be executed in 2 days.
See, I hate to think that things like that happen. I mean,
And it does, because I've watched information on this guy's case. I'll have to look it up and I'll send it to you. But they're saying that it was like a shaken baby syndrome and the child died. And now even the detective that was in that case is like, has interviewed this man and apologized to him because he's on death row for nothing.
you can get on death row for that.
Because it was like a child murder is basically what I don't know. I'd have to
I mean, I
watch
guess
it
it's
again,
possible.
but I've seen where the detective like goes and apologizes to this man.
Well, that's horrible.
Right. And they
Those are
can't
the
get him
people
off
that
now,
need to
and
be
he's being
getting.
executed in 2 days.
I mean, those are the people that need to be, getting the Innocence Project. Not, I could tell you right now, the Innocence Project would never work with Wade Wilson.
No, not at all.
They only go
Innocence
for people that are
Project,
actually innocent.
right?
And
The
he is
Innocence
clearly
Project
not.
does not want to. I mean, one, they're not going to touch you because you confessed multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
2, the evidence is stacked against you. I don't care what type of inconsistencies you want to talk about. There's more consistencies than inconsistencies.
Right.
And 3, for the Innocence Project to even consider you, 1, he wasn't even sentenced to death when supposedly the Innocence Project was working with him. He didn't even have the death sentence yet. So he could have just been getting life. We didn't know. Yes, it was recommended, but nobody knew what the judge was gonna say.
Yeah, and I think that obviously that girl, wasn't with the Innocence Project or whatever, but there is an extensive selection process that they go through before they take on something like that. And I guess she was trying to make it out like, she had it in and she funds everything so she can get it. I mean, I'm sitting there like, they would not do it. Even if that was true, they wouldn't do it.
No, I mean, he hasn't even used all of his appeals. And that's like one of their first things is you have to use all of your appeals processes first.
Yeah, that never even made any sense at all. Like, she didn't even do her research at all on that.
No, and Jesse just bought it hook, line, and sinker too. So that's another thing that just makes me think. I know. That's another thing that makes me think that Jesse was in on it.
I think she was too.
I think so.
To some extent, because I just don't see her dropping the ball this many times.
No, not that big on the Innocence Project and like selling it to Wade, like, we got them, they're gonna work with us, we don't have to worry about this. And then to think that the person who's gonna be doing your case pro bono, because the Innocence Project doesn't charge anybody, is going to send him $650 for what?
Yeah, right.
So that whole Ari Innocence Project, I still cannot make 100% sense of that and how Jesse was just going with it. That's why I think she was in on it.
It's like, I think she was in on it, but then at the same time, the whole her being, someone that has taken somebody else's identity for years, I don't know how that came together, but I guess it's possible.
Well, here we're going to go on some weird conspiracy theory. Follow if you can. What if they somehow caught wind of this Monica girl and they made it look like it all tracked back to her? Because if you think about it, Jesse still had the accounts like where Ari was talking to him. Jesse had the login for all of that.
That doesn't make any sense to me either.
Like, Jesse was like, here, you can use this to talk to my boyfriend. Jesse was putting money on the phone. Like, I feel like I don't know. I'm not sold on the Monica thing, and everybody can hate me for that one. I'm not sold on the Monica thing. I don't know why. It just doesn't all make sense because I feel like Jesse was involved somehow.
I know I'm kind of the same way, but at the same time, when all that was kind of coming out, I was just happy that it wasn't me.
Right.
Like,
No,
please come
I
out. So
I fully,
I didn't
we
think
can,
about things as clearly as I should have, because I'm
no,
just like,
because
see, here you
it wasn't
go.
you. See, it's not me. No, I get that too. But I don't know. I just can't make sense of all of it in my tiny ventricles. Like, they just don't make sense of it.
I told my boyfriend about that everybody said that they thought that I was Ari, and I was like, they think I'm talking to Wade Wilson. He's like, I hope not. I said, well, babe, I said, we sleep all day long and are up all night, and you can't talk to a prisoner in the middle of the night.
Right.
He
Like, are
knew.
you just waking up in the middle of the day to have a Wade Wilson conversation?
Yeah, no, he knew. He was just kidding with me, but I was
That's
like,
funny, though. He said, I hope not.
I know. I was like, I'm not. Are you kidding me?
You know
But
how many
honestly,
people
when I
have
first
have
found that
said,
out,
like,
it was
people have
crazy
asked
because I
me
was
if
like,
I'm a kiosk girl, so.
people know me enough to think that somebody's me. That I
Right.
couldn't get past that. I was like, what?
And my thing is, like, Ari has such a, and I can't pinpoint
Northern.
where, yes, like,
Yeah.
Boston or New York or New Jersey,
Yeah.
something like that. And then DVS, I'm not sure if you're still here, but Vivian seems to accidentally use her American accent sometimes
I heard
recently.
that. I heard that. Usually you can't understand a single damn word she says.
And then all of a sudden she was crystal clear, and because I was like, great, 7 calls from Vivian where I'm gonna have to turn on closed captioning. And then I
Isn't
was
that
like,
who he was
wait,
talking to for all those like nasty calls?
yes, the poop calls.
Oh,
I
God.
think that's who it was. We're not 100% sure at this point. I just know it was a German chick. But what if
I
she's
haven't
not
even
really
heard.
German? What if she's somebody faking being, because, she has to get an American, like, Google Voice number anyways to talk to him.
Well, isn't
So,
that the same one that lied about the money?
yeah,
Hell, there ain't no telling who she is either.
no.
But I would say you got to be some kind of something messed up to even sit through that call. How could you even act like you and? Ugh, I can't even.
Well,
I didn't even listen to the latest round.
Reddit has said that she was doing those calls and posting them on her OnlyFans. I don't know how true that is or if anybody found her OnlyFans.
Well, that would make sense.
But, like, so she's paying to have Wade do this to her to be able to post the phone call that, like, she recorded on her end, to be able to post it on OnlyFans and make money off of him that way. I mean,
I believe it
scam the
because I'm sitting there
scammer.
like, how can you enjoy this much? What the hell?
Right. I mean, there's, not to kink shame anybody, but there's people who
No, that
apparently
ain't a
like
kink.
that
That's a
kind of
mental
stuff.
disorder.
Ugh.
That ain't a kink. That is shit. Okay.
I think that's just a Wade Wilson fetish, and other people. I think this girl was like, I'm gonna go along with it because if people find out that it's him that I have on the call, I'll make money. I think that's what it is.
I believe that, and I'm sure you've seen this a lot too. I believe that he's really gay.
Yes.
And that he is not. Some people have said he's openly gay in Florida. I mean, I don't know. But I think he probably knows that everybody wants him to be with women and expects him to be with women, but he wants a man.
Right.
And he uses women as like a cover and basically his punching bags.
Yep. I think he hates really women so much because he wants a man. And I mean, it's my understanding that he comes from a religious household. So
he could
just that's frowned
feel
upon.
like he couldn't do that.
Yeah, it's frowned upon.
I'm pretty sure they would have much rather him just been gay than do all this shit.
Right. I would, as a parent, I would much rather my child come to me and say, hey, I am same-sex attracted versus, hey, I hate the opposite sex so much that I killed 2 people.
Right.
Like,
I mean, the whole like gay thing and stuff, when I was posting those videos about Joey, I got a lot of hate from people because they were like, what does it matter? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. But the reason it does matter is that he has all these women thinking that they're the only one and that he's locked up with men that he would never be interested in, and that they're like his one and only, when really if he is gay or bi, then he could be having a boyfriend in there too. They're not even thinking about that.
They think that he's so straight that he would never consider that.
Right. That's why it was such a big deal. Not that he was
Absolutely. It had nothing to do with the actual case.
Yeah,
None of these
right.
phone calls do at this point. These phone calls have to do with a whole different illegal organization, if you want to call it that. Team Wade is the new organization.
He's just misleading everyone. That's the point.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think that he's straight as can be, and that you're the only woman he's talking to, and that he's locked up with, you know, only other men around, that he would never, you know, think of it that way. You think of him in that, like, that you're so special. But
and
if you
some
know
of the straightest men are gay for the stay. So,
man, I've heard so many things. I had a cousin that I grew up with him, and he had many girlfriends, and he went to prison, and when he came home, he was gay. And it was not even just gay. He was like, he had like not like, it wasn't OnlyFans, but it was something kind of like that.
Okay.
And I was
he was open about it. Like,
yeah, like doing paid stuff.
Oh.
And I was just like, oh my God, like, this is too much for me to like process right now. But I feel like if he wouldn't have went to prison, then that would probably never have happened.
Right. I could see that too, you know, and we can't go back and change anybody's timeline to see how it would have played out any other way, you know. So,
I mean, I see how people in prison get that way, but the thing is, when you, especially for girls, okay, like in prison, they have what they call studs, which is like the boy looking girls.
Right.
That's what all the girls want. But there's usually only like maybe 4 or 5 like studs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody is always fighting over these like studs. And then their worst fear is having a girl that leaves them for a man. The ones that are truly gay.
Right.
That's like their worst fear. So all these women that they're being with while they're locked up, they're clearly with men on the outside, but they're lying and saying that they're gay on the street. And that's what I have a problem with, because I'm like, I know you don't. You're from my city, honey. You're going to be with a man the same day you come home. But they will sit there and lie about it. And that's just, I don't know. I just never could get down with any of that. And I'm going to tell you what, if you could have saw what I was locked up with, you would freaking understand.
Tropical storm Helene has caused 95 confirmed deaths in North Carolina, Governor Roy Cooper said at a Tuesday press conference. With 92 still remain missing, 92KCHICK talks about how the higher-ups dropped the ball in efforts to help the victims of Helene.
They got really excited on the phone. We're like, yo, because listen, there's not a lot of people, and they just can't do it. They can't hate you. I know that whole Ari thing came up, but that was all fake news. Right? They can't hate 92KCHICK. You're just unhateable.
Oh, well, thanks. But I definitely still get some, though. But I appreciate that. That's really nice. Thank you guys for having me on.
Now, who would your hate be coming from other than like Wade Wives? Because you are like the most positive but no bullshit creator that I've come across. Like,
oh, wow. Well, thank you so much. I've just been getting a lot of hate on some of my recent videos that aren't dealing with Wade Wilson, dealing with the Hurricane Helene and everything. Because people are they're just really rude about stuff, and they're like, well, they should have evacuated, and they're just saying stuff like, I don't care, it's their fault for staying. And they were in the mountains. They didn't know that it was going to flood. They paid about as much attention to it as Miami would pay to a big snowstorm coming, you know? So
right.
That's interesting. So, yeah, we got affected. I'm in North Florida right now. I'm from South Florida, but I live in North Florida. We got affected by Hurricane Helene as well. But I know that you guys really lost a lot of people up there during that whole incident with the mountains and stuff. That is crazy.
And I mean, I'm not I'm not personally affected by it. I live about an hour and a half north of that, but I mean, still, it's insane to me that nobody really understands how big of a disaster it is because they're under 10 feet of mud.
Golly.
So, yeah, the whole entire terrain changed. Like, it didn't just take people's houses, like it took the land under them too. So it's just a huge mess everywhere. And it was over, I want to say it was over 120 counties. So it's a huge area.
Biden dropped the ball on that, but that's a whole other story too, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was getting hate too, because I was just telling it like it is. But I mean, it's the truth.
Some people just don't like the truth. I'm learning that.
And then I just found out that there is a facility in North Carolina that they had set up for like children, and it was supposed to house like 800 of them, like my unaccompanied minors, and they never came. And it's been sitting there empty for however long, and it's got 800 rooms, but yet these people are sleeping out in tents when it's like 20 degrees outside. So it's a big mess.
Definitely. I mean, that's huge.
And they're trying to censor everything. They don't want it to get out. I think they know that they screwed up, on how they responded to it. And there's a whole nother conspiracy behind that with uranium in the land and all this mess. I don't know about all that, but all I know is people are freezing up there, the ones that are still alive, and it's just not right.
Well, I'm glad that you're being a voice to the ones that are voiceless right now.
Well, I'm glad I was able to be, because nobody else really knows about it. I mean, I've had so many comments say, I've never seen this. Why am I not seeing this on the news? Like, this should be on news, like front page news every day, until these people at least get somewhat taken care of.
Yeah, we're living in a time in history like no other time in history. This is, I'm about to be, in my 40s, and I've lived through a lot of things that a lot of people haven't. Well, you too. Everybody here is on their own account have been through craziness within the last 5 years. So
yes, it's been so many things that we never thought we would see, and that have just happened. And I know the whole conspiracy theory thing, and I get into that stuff too, but it's really funny that so many of them are just so true now. I mean,